The president announced he won't fire Jeff Sessions until after the midterms. A man threatening the Boston Globe ignites a debate. And In-N-Out Burger, which is delicious, is in the news, but not because its burgers are in fact so tasty.
Team Rising, somewhere I have a camera. Team Rising is here. Team Rising is here. Help us break all of this down. We're going to get this right this morning. Delvone Michael is a political strategist for the National Working Family Party, a political organization aimed at raising standards for working families. And Erielle Davidson, a contributor at The Federalist, law student and economic research assistant at the Hoover Institution. Welcome you both to the B Hour, the B team, since Crystal's not here, but I am.
No, they are the A team. It is us. It is Friday. We are tired. Yeah, this is JV. Sure. You guys are going to elevate our game right now. Erielle, let me start with you. Sessions not being fired till afterwards. I like Jeff Sessions. I think that he's done a good job on policy stuff. I feel like everyone should agree with this. Good politically for the president. Probably best for all folks across the board. I want to know what you think, though, that Jeff Sessions gets to stay around for a bit.
I agree with you completely. I, too, am a fan of Jeff Sessions. He was one of the president's earliest supporters in the primary, so I'd like to see him sort of stick around. I think Trump does value loyalty above all else, but I do think that he should also value professionalism. And I think Jeff Sessions recusing himself was actually quite a professional move. And I think Trump, it would behoove him to stick with Jeff Sessions. So I agree with you completely.
Delvone, I feel like we might be able to start here with some universal agreement. Firing Jeff Sessions at this point, Democrats would be upset, I assume? They don't think he should be fired for recusing himself, right? I know they don't like Jeff Sessions necessarily, right?
Right.
Yeah, right.
Definitely no.
Definitely not. I think we definitely are all going to agree right here. But if he did fire him now, wow, that'd be a windfall for Democrats. Please, yes, fire him now, because we want to have AG confirmation hearings, not Supreme Court confirmation hearings. Let's be honest here. The fact of the matter is the only reason he would actually fire Jeff Sessions is because he wants to actually appoint someone else that will end the Mueller investigation, which is terrible for the country and unfortunate for the president. So
those Senate hearings, by the way, would be lit. In fact, it would be wild what would go on. I think because the Democrats would have a very clear opening to be like, so why exactly do you fire Attorney General over and over again? I think that would be a tough one.
Well, and I think the question then would become who would replace Jeff Sessions? Is this just a Rod Rosenstein replacement, or does the president try to go outside the Justice Department and appoint somebody else, or some question about
Judge Janine, obviously.
Or can he appoint somebody from another agency and just install them as temporary Attorney General? I think there's a question about that, which could lead to a constitutional crisis because there's some argument that the Justice Department has its own internal process about who elevates.
Erielle, I keep coming back to I think the president understands the implications of what some of these moves would be, but I don't know if that means, Jamal and I were talking about this before, that he won't necessarily do it. I feel like with this president, he likes to be like, oh, this is the conventional wisdom. Let's just crush that thing. Yeah.
No, he's a hot rod and he's unpredictable. And I agree with you 100% in terms of just because it's the professional or the right move doesn't necessarily mean he's going to follow through with it. In fact, that actually might be a motivation to not do it. If it is something that will, cause a frazzle among the media and it will throw it into tumult, it might actually encourage him to do it. Now, I really do think thus far, though, he's shown that he's stuck with Sessions. I mean, when Sessions initially recused himself, he actually defended Sessions. If you go back into when he initially did it, and so.
Are you arguing the president has some desire for consistency?
Perhaps. I don't know. I mean, I think he's consistent in his bombastic nature.
The great thing about this president from a political analysis point, at least on the right, Jamal, is that nobody really knows.
Nobody really knows.
Nobody really knows. That's right. Anything can happen. But this Boston Globe story, I know you were on this. You want to set this one up for our folks?
Yes, so there was a death threat that was issued from a gentleman in Boston. The judge in the case, I think, asked him to stay away from the Boston Globe. But in the death threat, he said, enemy of the people, which makes it sound as if we're talking about something that President Trump has been leading people up to. So the question now is, to me, is the president going too far, and are we starting to see some of the negative repercussions about his rhetoric showing up in the media?
I think it's no question right there. Let's be clear. The most important thing that we can take away from this is that a free press is extremely important to any democracy. That's why the founders actually made the free press, because they thought that was a check on government. This president's words are vitriolic and very violent, and people are actually starting to take hold of that. Racist people, people who are angry at the press have given free rein to run and go crazy. And I think unfortunately, another tragedy probably is going to happen.
Erielle, I feel like first of all, the media tends to get a little, I guess technically we're part of the media, but whatever. The media tends to get a little too upset about what the president says about them, that they seem to think this is always a bigger story, in my opinion, than it is. I've gotten threats. People I know in the media get threats all the time. No action was taken here, and if we're going to look at the heated political rhetoric, the only really the only mass assassination attempt in memory that I know of, recent memory that I know of, would involve a Bernie Sanders supporter who went after a bunch of Republican members of Congress. So it feels like all the lectures about Trump and his rhetoric, this just looks like political brinksmanship to me on both sides. People are playing this game of, well, who's saying the nastiest stuff?
No, and I agree with you, and I also would say, I would add to this and say this gentleman who was, I think his last name was Chain, and he was out in California, he called I believe he called the Boston Globe 14 times. I mean, this gentleman was mentally disturbed. He was not well, and to, suggest that perhaps he's sort of, I think Trump maybe lit the match, but he was already a trigger waiting to happen. And so,
but don't you think we should be dialing down the rhetoric and trying to find ways that we can have these debates without it leading to people getting more violent?
Yes, absolutely. I agree. I think that we should be able to have a rhetoric that is healthy and conducive and critical to, solving and addressing certain issues in society. Absolutely. But I do think that some of the onus falls on the press to engage in a little bit of self-examination.
Let's not blame the victim.
No.
They haven't been victim. I mean, nothing is actually happened.
Somebody threatened to kill them.
No, I know, but guys, I've gotten stuff. We all get stuff.
You asked a general question about addressing rhetoric, and so I was answering your question by saying we should be able to, both not use phrases like enemy of the people, but also have a little bit of introspection in the press. Now, in this case, I don't think this should warrant introspection within the press, because at this moment, this is a mentally disturbed individual who seized upon
and he crossed a criminal line, by the way.
He did cross a criminal line.
The bottom line is that the words of the presidency actually matter. When you're the president of the United States, you can't go out and say things like that. And unfortunately, you say this guy's mentally ill. The Republican Party has been reduced to basically carnival barkers, moonlighting deniers, and the lost remnants of the Art Bell Church of the Holy Hologram. Well, like crazy people are.
Delvone, I think we're losing sight of the fact that he has not called the press the enemy of the people. He has clarified to say
in a few weeks.
Hold on, that the fake news is the enemy of the people. So if we're gonna, we're gonna keep it real.
He did give a statistic. He said 80%, which I think was.
Oh God.
Yeah. So not to play devil's advocate. But
this is the 20%.
It's gonna be hard to figure out who's on the left and on the right on this panel. Because everyone seems to agree that the president is actually wrong on this.
I got one more for us here, and that is. This is near and dear to my heart. In-N-Out Burger. Oof. The head of the California Democratic Party has called for a boycott of In-N-Out Burger. I don't know if that was an oof, I love it, or oof, I like Five Guys, or Mickey D's. Okay, you're with me. Okay, yeah. The head of the Democratic Party has said that he wants a boycott of In-N-Out Burger after the company donated $25,000 to the Republican Party. But some Democrats, Erielle, are already distancing themselves from this idea. I think a boycott against In-N-Out in California, this would be hilarious, because no chance this works. Everyone who has tried that tasty burger knows that there's no level of political dispute that's worth giving that up.
Also, Glassdoor recently ranked the best companies to work for in the United States, and In-N-Out Burger was the only restaurant chain in the top 50, and it was actually number 4. Wow. It pays its employees extremely well. It has a starting hourly rate of $13 an hour, but you can work your way up. A store manager can make up to $160,000 a year managing an In-N-Out Burger. This is one of the.
Call them for a job.
I know. I was going to say, what am I doing in law school? I should be going In-N-Out Burger. No, but actually, it's a company that treats its employees really well. It has good benefits, has 401k plan. So to see the chair of the Democratic Party in California go after In-N-Out Burger, it's just ludicrous.
Yeah, Delvone, we don't want people boycotting just because someone in a company makes a party donation, especially when the burgers are this good.
You've done me no favors here. I'm not in favor of elected officials calling for boycotts of companies. Anyway, if that comes up from the grassroots, then just fine. But in California, In-N-Out Burger is only second to water. Like, you cannot get people to boycott In-N-Out Burger. And then again, they made donations to the Democratic Party as well. So I think this is
equal donations.
Equal donations.
Exactly. This is a little bit like the Chick-fil-A boycott. Yeah. I mean, people like Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, my wife, it's so funny. I'm from Arkansas. My wife tried to get me to boycott Walmart. I'm like, look, people like cheap food and cheap goods. It's very difficult to get people to be disciplined on that. But I think
where else can you get a tennis racket, a baseball, and a burger
in the same place? Exactly.
Quick wrap question here. The best single fast food chain in the country is
Five Guys.
Chick-fil-A.
I think Chick-fil-A.
I go In-N-Out Burger. There we have it.
Are you sitting?
Yeah.
The spicy chicken sandwich is so
I lived
good.
in Georgia
I
for
love
a
that
while.
he had-
I lived in
see?
Georgia for a while. I
Only in
can't.
It's all about
airports. I
quality.
can't be seen in public going into a Chick-fil-A. I lose my,
Jamal is
standing
not
amongst
blinded by partisanship when it tastes that good, and I totally agree with him.
I know, I'm not
Panel.
supposed to, but it's
Yeah.
just, it is what it is.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming to be
Thanks
part
for
of
having
Team
us.
Rising.